I'm Lindsey Vettorel, and welcome back to Cool America Live. Every now and then, you meet someone whose story sits right at the intersection of science and soul, where intellect meets empathy and art feels a lot like medicine. AmieLynn Abellera was supposed to wear a white coat. She studied psychobiology, shadowed doctors, and planned to heal people in hospitals. But somewhere along the way, she found another way to save lives, not with scalpels or stethoscopes, but with stories. Now, as Nurse Perla Alawi on The Pitt, a medical drama set in Pittsburgh, she's rewriting what representation looks like. A Filipino Muslim woman who leads with heart, humor, and humanity. This isn't just a story about acting, it's about identity, empathy, and the courage to choose the path that heals you back. So it's so great to have you, AmieLynn. I'm so excited that you're with us.
Thank you for having me. What a wonderful, beautiful introduction. Thank you for writing that. I was moved and touched.
Good, thank you. Um, I'm just appreciative of your time and getting to pick your wonderfully intelligent brain. You originally studied pre-med, and I read that you were actually on your way to becoming a doctor before acting pulled you in. So what was
Yeah,
the exact moment you said, all right, acting it is?
man. Sure. I still think back on that and it feels not so long ago, but it was long ago, back in 2000 when I went to undergraduate and was studying pre-medical. And I was really on the path. I really loved genuinely biology and human psychology and development, and really loved studying cells. And I really admired my father, who was a doctor. I loved following him around in his clinical practice. And my mom was a registered nurse also. So I was surrounded by it and with all my family and uncles and aunts and everything. So it was the path that made sense, and also one that I genuinely wanted to achieve. And I excelled at it too. And I finally was getting to the place where um, I was applying and interviewing for medical schools. Mind you, this whole time, ever since I was a kid, my parents were really into the arts and also took us to see theater and music and dance. And I really, really also fell in love with that genuinely as well. And it became just my favorite hobby slash obsession slash dream, but never really was talked about as anything that I can actually pursue as a career, or what that looked like as a vocation. So it was sort of, the linear path of medical school, and then really doing that on the side just to fill that passion. And I finally got to the place where it felt that it felt like a fork in the road, because medical school is such an ambitious uh, endeavor. It's a mountain, and I was gonna climb it, but I really had to ask myself, is this really what I wanted to do? So I took a pause after undergraduate, and I went to go work doing cancer research at Stanford. And then during that time was also just working this cancer research job, and then working doing theater on the side, like how I have always done. And then I finally just got to a place where I thought the stuff over here, the acting and the art and the craft, was taking much more of my brain space, my body space, my emotional, mental space. And I was allowing it to, I wanted it to. And cancer research and everything the passion was shrinking. Everything was getting smaller over here. And I finally got to a place, literally, there was a moment on the train to Stanford where it was this aha of, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And not that I didn't love it, but I think I just wanted to do this more. And I think I I made the decision right there. And I switched gears, and I thought, if I have something to offer, let me try out for these Masters of Fine Arts programs across the country. And I got into a couple great ones, USC and Chicago, and then I just chose LA and then never looked back. And then since then, it's been a roller coaster of love and life and heartbreak and that whole thing. But I don't regret it, and I don't regret it, and I'm so happy that I gave myself the time to figure it out, and to release the other side of me, in a nice, gracious way.
I
Yeah.
love that so much. And like it's so wonderful to hear how somebody was so brave that you could just follow what your passion was. And it's such a great message for the younger generation out there. You know, you can follow your dreams and can really get there. You can achieve it and you can love two things at once. And now here you are combining both worlds, like you're wearing scrubs again, just with better lighting and more drama, right? So
It's true.
it's so
It's true.
wonderful to hear that story. What a magnificent story to tell. And I know you said you come from a family of healthcare professionals, and so I have to know, have they ever accidentally given you acting advice like you were one of their patients?
The thing is, they haven't given it to me unsolicited. I love asking my mom, about how it was for her when she was a nurse. She worked in a hospital, she worked in the ICU. And I love hearing her stories, and I love them even more now that I, am in this sort of what feels like a grind of like, oh, it's a grind, it's hard. And so I really have to ask her, was it that intense in the ICU that you're just, going from patient to patient, and how do you connect with them, when you just see it every day and these things. And so it's not so much acting advice, but actually just real life stories that I can, apply to Perla, and just sort of absorb what the sort of care and compassion that my mother loves telling about, and then just bring it over to set.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so nice that you have that because
Yeah.
it brings such authenticity to
Yeah.
your role. And you can see that. Like it totally plays out that you have this advice from your mom and it's it
Yeah.
works. Like who knew that you would be using your
Yeah.
advice in
It is
acting?
crazy. It is crazy because it also with how the show is working is that I am going there every day and getting in my scrubs and going into this hospital. So there are some times where I just really feel like, oh, I'm a nurse and I'm going to work. It's really early in the morning. My shift starts and there I am. Like it does feel like I work at a hospital. It does feel like I am a nurse doing these things with my hands every day and seeing new patients come in, and seeing them throughout their time there through for their story on the show. I sometimes get confused and I think like, wait, oh yeah, we're I'm not a real nurse. This isn't a real hospital at all.
Yeah.
And but sometimes I catch myself where I forget. I forget.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be easy to. And honestly, in Pittsburgh, so I don't live there now, but I was born and raised in Pittsburgh.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have such like they're just so strong in their medical field too.
Yeah.
So it's wild that you're actually in a real hospital doing
My
the work.
gosh, it's so bizarre. It is, and it's the team has made everything so exact and precise and authentic, and the attention to the detail of that hospital is incredible to where I do forget. There was a time when I was really thirsty and my water was, in my trailer, and then there are the water fountains in a hospital.
Yeah.
And I went over to one and I went to get some water and it doesn't work. It's, it's, it's a set piece. But it looks so real. And even, they have it looking as if there was water flowing. It's amazing. It's amazing to work on a television show that is so like committed to the realism of every detail.
Yes, absolutely. And so as a huge fan of the show, my husband and I watch it religiously.
Oh
It's
yeah.
such an amazing show. I have to know, what is the funniest or most unexpected thing that's really happened on the set of the Pit? Like one of those, this would never happen in real life or in a real hospital moment.
Oh gosh. Um, I mean, as in like what is something, kind of don't understand the question. What's something that wouldn't happen?
In
If,
real life that happened on
oh,
the set. Yeah.
I mean, every day that's what's happening. I
Yeah,
feel
pretty
like
much.
every day that's what's happening. So whenever we are, even just, was it yesterday? Well, I can't give a lot of stuff away,
Yeah.
but what's so incredible is I think the prosthetic makeup department. And because in an ER, people are getting their hands blown off, people are like falling off and getting huge lacerations to their body and things like that. And they just wheel in these huge prosthetics of these pieces of a body.
Oh my God.
um, that look so, and then they put it on the actual person's body, and then I see it wheel in, and it's just a ripped up piece of flesh, but it's also it's just wild. And then they lift that up, and we're all just hanging out, just waiting for that to happen, or like eating a snack. And then they put it on the person's body, and my brain has to kind of meld that together, um and think like, oh, those slashes to where I can see bone are not real. But
Mhm.
wait, are they? And then when we're filming it, your brain goes into, oh, this is real. I'm reacting to what it is as a person would react to that. So every day my mind has to switch back and forth of like seeing these half bodies roll in. Like the one time where the woman was giving birth,
Yes.
and there were the little babies. Those were all prosthetics. Like there was a whole bottom half of a woman just, there, and she would just get into place in there, and that was her prosthetic. It's just incredible what they're capable of.
That's
And they're just
amazing.
so talented, that prosthetic department and makeup. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. They really
Yeah.
are, because it does look so real. Sometimes, like, obviously, when you're watching it as just, for entertainment, you're like, you think it's real because it looks so real. I can't imagine being there in person. That's just
Oh my God.
amazing.
So good.
Oh,
It's
wow.
amazing.
So are you in Pittsburgh?
We film in Warner Brothers in Burbank, California.
Okay.
And yes, so there's one huge, we have two big stages. They basically are these massive warehouses, and they build the whole hospital in there.
Okay.
And then they have one for the hospital and then one for triage, which is sort of the waiting room area. And but for a week, uh people who are in scenes that are in Pittsburgh go to Pittsburgh for a week to shoot all the stuff that is in Pittsburgh,
Okay.
like the outside scenes or the exteriors or
Yeah.
things that need to be sort of where you could see a little bit of Pittsburgh in the background or something like that.
Have you been?
Yeah, I did go to Pittsburgh, when was it? Last month.
Oh,
And it's my first time, and your hometown is so beautiful.
it was
Um,
very great.
it's really a special place. And 446 bridges.
Yes, the land of bridges for sure.
I mean, it blows I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, I would have been impressed if you told me there were 20 bridges. Like,
Yeah.
like where are they? 400? It's crazy, but
Yes,
amazing. Yeah.
absolutely. It is. And honestly, I mean, it is just, it really is this very special place. There's nowhere quite like it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. I do still love getting to say that that is where I'm from originally. It's
Yay.
very proud of
And
that.
where are you now?
South Carolina.
Oh, yay. Okay. I've
Yeah.
never been there.
No, well, it is beautiful here, but not currently. It is pouring down rain. But normally it's very, very sunny. Quite the opposite of Pittsburgh, actually.
Oh, yeah. I
where
is
it
the
does rain a lot in Pittsburgh.
what's the Pittsburgh weather general like?
So typically it's cloudy, and
Cloudy.
rainy. But lately it has been, my family is still in Pittsburgh and everything. My mom and my dad are still up there, and I have aunts and uncles still there too, but and cousins. But yeah, it's shifted a bit because it has actually sometimes been sunnier and warmer there than it has here at times. So it's wild
Interesting.
to me.
When
Yeah.
I went in, was it when I went, it was mid-September. It was hot and very sunny.
Yes. Very,
Beautiful.
very humid. Very, very humid
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah. Loved
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
I
It
was
is.
there for a couple days. I would have loved to stay longer,
Mhm.
just to discover this bridges thing.
The bridges. Yep. Definitely the bridges.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of culture there too, and they kind of mix it in. So it makes it a really unique and wonderful place to be.
I will
So
go
if
back.
you ever get a chance to go back, you should try to catch these different places like the Strip District and
Okay.
the South Side. They have a bunch of different areas that are definitely worth exploring.
I'll ask you about it next time if I ever go for the show
Yeah,
or just on my own. Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. I will try to give you all the tips and tricks of the trade when
Okay.
visiting Pittsburgh. Um, so Perla is such a layered character, Filipino, Muslim, strong yet empathetic. And she really started shining, towards the middle and end of the first season. How did you go about building her cultural identity and emotional depth?
Oh man, big question. Thank you. And I'm glad she comes off that way as empathetic and also good at her job because I think that's something that I really admire about nurses and in seeing my mother and also any nurse that I have followed or seen as I saw my dad in the hospital when he was working. Just they're so capable, and they're always so compassionate, and they always it sloughs off them to put the care first, but also while being so capable at what they're doing at the same time, really. So that's something that I really try and bring every day with Perla because she is always focused on the numbers, focused on, needles, focused on doing things, but also trying to input a lot of care and compassion. Um, so that's great. Uh, and in terms of, the Filipino Muslim, um, I grew up Catholic, and it was really something that I was very uneducated about, and to a very big degree, still learning, still growing, and seeing how I can bring that to the role. And once I got the role and knew that was a part of her, I didn't actually have a ton of time to deep dive into to Islam or anything like that. And I found a person here in Los Angeles who who is a Filipino American Muslim,
Mm.
and he uh, grew up Catholic as many Filipinos do, and he converted to Islam when he was in college. And so I had a conversation with him, and I really knew that I wasn't going to be able to absorb the entire experience of what he went through. But really, I specifically asked him, what do you think? How do you think being Filipino and Muslim, or anything about the Islamic faith, would that affect her work as a healthcare worker? Would there be anything like that to consider or that I should just keep in mind? And thankfully enough, what was really unique about my conversation with him is that his wife actually um, worked as a nurse for many years, and she is a practicing hijabi, and she covers, and I didn't know that by the time when I first met him, and so a lot of it was him sharing stories about his wife. And there was something specific that I remember of how it nothing nothing was nothing about the faith really change the way that she cared or practiced her work. But in terms of having to, there were some logistical things that she had to bring to the hospital in terms of finding time to pray 5 times a day. And or she shared a story about, she had a hijab on and she couldn't, it was difficult a lot of times for her to fit her stethoscope in, or her surgical goggles or something like that. And also, she had to find ways to keep it in so it doesn't, fall or become unsterile for the patient or anything like that. And with those tips or with those stories, I actually collaborated with the costuming department to um, to make little holes in my hijab,
Oh,
and so I can get the little stethoscope into my ears really more easily. And if you could take a look, you could see that the surgical goggles go in really easily right there, and the wrapping of it is great under the scrubs. And so it was really there isn't anything that I am bringing other than just like living in who I am as a person also. And I think what's wonderful about what the pit is is that it just is pure representation of these underrepresented groups. But what I love is that the writers aren't really leaning into it or making it a storyline or making it quote unquote like a big deal. And it's just her, and that's all you have to know. And there's no question, there's no like wondering, or and they're not trying to uh, create a narrative for the audience to spotlight it. And I think like not spotlighting it is speaks more
it does.
in my taste, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So I just kind of be me a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's great. And honestly, it's so funny that you say that because I never would have even thought that that was something, that she would struggle with, like with that stethoscope and the
Yeah.
surgical, like that is wild to me. And so the fact that they did that for you, maybe hopefully this will help other Muslim women in healthcare, like get that, oh, we could do something, to
Yeah.
try to help to ease that like burden that they have to face. So, and I mean, it is you are accurate when you say with the pit and everything, it's just so deeply human and it is rare but so wonderful to see and not focusing on it, it is focused upon, uh,
Mm,
which I feel like is the best way to get that message across.
yeah.
Um, and you touched on, the responsibility of the representation. And did you feel any of that responsibility of carrying that representation for a Filipino American woman? Considering, how rare we see all these different ethnicities and these mixes of ethnicities on mainstream TV.
Sure. I feel a deep, very heavy responsibility. One that I have to constantly feel that I don't have to take that on. Mostly because I think, again, coming into it, I am a Filipino American woman. I was raised Catholic. I didn't really know anything about being Muslim. Yet I knew that that group and that group and that group combined really is in one person of Perla Alawi is representing and giving so much light to these very two underrepresented groups on mainstream media. And what a cool role just to see her there, just to see her. However, I knew that um, being that it is so rare to see this person, that so many people would really, I felt I have to do this right. I have to make this accurate. But then, and that was putting a lot of pressure on myself. But then it's also like, what does that mean? There's the diversity and the breadth of who we are as humans, as Filipinos, Filipino Americans, Filipino American Muslims, Filipino Muslims. It's such a tapestry of how of who we are. And there's not going to be one right way to be this person, is what I had to keep telling myself.
Yeah.
And to remove the responsibility of trying to do it right. Um, and it comes from a place as me as a Filipino watching Filipino things too. I think I get grumpy when I see something not done right but what does that even mean, right?
Mhm.
To me, after I get grumpy about it, I think, oh, of that Filipino woman is different from this Filipino woman, which doesn't take away from her Filipino-ness at all. 0%. They're both beautiful, represented Filipino women. And so that's what I had to kind of keep telling myself whenever I felt that I had a big responsibility, is just being a human and, learning and growing in these groups was all I can do. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like you said that so eloquently and so true. Because I mean, for anybody, I feel like these days it's you just finding and just being the most authentic version of yourself, the most genuine version of yourself is really all you can do. And
Yeah.
and there is no right way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and that's hard because especially for people which I mean I don't know you personally, but I can like I can see or kind of get a sense that you're also a perfectionist like I am. So it's like that part is hard to let go sometimes.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
a Taurus. I don't know what you are.
I'm an Aries.
Oh, also a perfectionist.
Yes.
To a fault, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Most times. Uh,
Wow.
but I mean,
Be
it is,
easy on yourself.
yes, it's a fault, but it's also a strength at the same
Yeah,
time, which
it's
is
true.
so strange and sometimes doesn't make sense whenever I say it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that hits me right there too. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
It is. Well, so the show, I mean, I honestly can't say enough great things about this show, but I know the show has definitely been praised for spotlighting nurses and support staff, which is like the real backbone of healthcare. So, what have you learned about that world that really surprised or moved you? Because I know you were already immersed in it with your parents and everything. So, is there anything that really took you by surprise?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So what did you learn about the world of nurses and support staff in the hospital, like that real
Hmm.
bone that surprised you?
Yeah. Um, Again, just that they are so smart, so can handle themselves under pressure, especially with emergency department nurses. I think the ones that we have on set who are always there, for consulting us, advising us, telling us how to do things and make it look accurate, which is so wonderful to have. I always ask them, is this really how it is? Just patient after patient, and you just have to keep going and hop to one trauma to another, and they are saying yes. And I think, like, how do you let go of that after 14 hours or 12 hours of working? And there's it it never is with nurses. I feel like it's never a callous thing in terms of that trauma or those hard things petrify them and they aren't able to connect with their patients. I think they still are so raw, to be able to 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 give the compassion while doing this over and over again. And that is a hero. And same with the doctors. I
Mhm.
mean, it's I think what's wonderful is that with Robbie and all the healthcare workers of the pit, it's just through after COVID, especially that trauma, those traumas that they have every day, the COVID era was just slough of open wounds. And they didn't have a break. There was zero break. And then they won't go back in 2021, 2022, and all through that. And I don't know how they did it. I think I hope the show, gives light of how they worked through with that trauma and how we need to find support to give them in different ways, and how they mask it so they can be there for their patients. But it's heartbreaking, and I'm just in awe of their of the strength and the the the
Right.
braveness.
Yeah, bravery.
Yes, bravery
Sure.
to go back into the hospital every day, especially after that, especially after COVID.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
can agree with you. I watched the show with my husband, and he's not a healthcare worker, but he is a firefighter and he does the EMS and everything. So
Yeah.
I feel that so deeply what you said about how it doesn't harden them, the things that they have to see every day. They still show up and they still have that selfless drive
Mm,
to want to help and want to do right. And I feel like that is something that that is, I guess, one of the reasons I love the pit so much is because it brings it to the forefront where
mm,
you have no choice but to see, like, this is the strength. This is heroism. This is bravery right here. Like what these first responders do, what healthcare workers do. It's so underappreciated, I guess, is what
yeah.
we take it for granted sometimes. So I do love that. And I love that you touched upon that because it's so true. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So true. So true.
I know. So am I right when I say you did a medical boot camp for realism?
Yes. So before the first season started and also before the second season started, we have 2 weeks of medical boot camp, which is sort of in terms of for first season, kind of giving us as much as they can in 2 weeks, how to sort of just get it in our body. As actors, as people who will have to say these words while doing actions, because of course, we're definitely not ever going to be real or as accurate, but there are ways to just make it get comfortable in our body. And so, for the nurses, the doctors had sort of a different thing because they do lots of things like intubations that nurses don't do, and cutting and scalpels and stitching and suturing. And for us, there's a lot of work with the IVs. There's a lot of work with uh, just how to look at all the stats for the patients and what those even mean so we can be able to have like a real thought about it. So
Yes.
yeah, it's
Did
very fun.
do you feel that like your background and your education, did that give you kind of a head start, I guess, almost with those terms and everything? Or do you feel like it didn't?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just so, so grateful that I had this background just to be able to um, know what a pulse ox is or a like what is a blood pressure? I don't know. What is a tourniquet? What is an IV? What does that stand for? Just things like that. Because yes, we get the scripts pretty soon and then have to, input those really heavy terms into our body and then be able to say them as if we know them, of course. So yes, it really did give me a heads up. But it's still pretty hard to get everything technically down. I have to look up lots of medications and lots of procedures on Google all the time or watch YouTubes of because yes, I did get up to interview of medical school, but never really went. So I don't have the hands-on sort of access in the way that, a real nurse would. But getting there.
Yeah, no,
I make it
definitely.
work. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much too. There really is.
Yeah.
My husband will say something to me and I'll be like, can you dumb it down for us normal humans that have no idea what you're talking about?
I have to ask that too.
It's
When we
so
go in.
much. There's so
Yeah,
much to know.
yeah.
So,
Just dial it down to
yes,
just pretend I'm a little toddler and
right?
just walk me through it very slowly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you might have to repeat it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I love that your journey started with wanting to heal people, but in a way, you still do. Um, so do you feel like telling stories is, I wouldn't say just as effective in healing people, but basically still healing people? Would you agree that telling stories is healing people just like practicing medicine heals people?
Absolutely. Of course, absolutely. And I mean, I will speak for myself. I think I heal from stories. Of course. I read a lot of books, I watch a lot of TV and a lot of films. And, that was something that was healing for me as a child and growing and just learning and seeing stories of people going through the same things or feeling the same feelings that maybe I thought I was alone in those feelings. And it is really, really very healing. Um, Probably with the pit, I think a hospital is something that we all experience and we all have our own triggers and fears around. And, it can be a really scary place. And a lot of us have either already experienced trauma in an emergency department or will at some point in the future. And I think it's so healing to know that you're not alone, and to also, if it's healing, to even relive the experiences through a story. So yes, but I'm so happy that you say that I'm still healing and that the show is still healing people, um, and not, tangibly healing with my hands as a doctor and that, but through acting and storytelling. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, that emotional healing is so important.
Yeah.
Um, and just like you said, it helps to see like because sometimes, you go through something like that, something heavy or in an
Mm.
ER, you're you just feel like, oh my gosh, am I being silly? Or is this really how I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel? And then you see somebody else, like you said, going through the same thing or something similar. And it's like, it just feels better to know you're right.
Yeah.
You're not alone. So,
Yes.
and,
Absolutely.
and I mean, that emotional intensity of the pit is real. So, how
Oh,
do you decompress after a heavy day like that on set?
I don't know, actually. There's not a lot of time to decompress because, the day ends at maybe 7, and then we have to be right back there in 12 hours. So but, I think everyone has their own way of decompressing, but I do get to come home and I have a 5-year-old and a partner, and they're very supportive. And even if it doesn't decompress me, it distracts me. Because I think like decompressing, a 5-year-old isn't relaxing.
No.
But but it is, but there is joy and energy and a distraction from all this other stuff, from all the, slashing, wheeled in half bodies that I have to see. And it does remind me that it is pretend. Uh, and, I can switch my mind and I mean, I have no choice to switch my mind, to home when I get home, which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
So, so in decompressing, I try to like release and just be quiet during the weekends as much as possible, as much as I can, again, with a 5-year-old and a family.
Yeah. Not much. And
Not much.
especially when they get older, because that's what
Oh
we're
my gosh.
into.
Is
We've
that
got,
where is that where it gets trickier?
well, I mean, it just gets busier. They,
Busier?
I mean, I love the little stages. Sorry, I have like something about. But now we're running with a almost 15, a 14, a
Hot dang.
yeah, a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I'm like, now it's cheer practice, football
Oh, Lindsay.
games, it's tumbling, it's singing lessons, it's volleyball, I mean, it's a lot. But like you said, it is a great distraction whenever you're running through and like, you're stressed about this or you're stressed about that. In those moments, just to watch and say, I created this,
Mm.
like this little tiny human
Oh my
that
gosh.
finds joy in like the silliest thing to us as grown-ups, but it reminds you that life is short and you've got like I wish we could all experience the joy in the little things that these
Oh
children
my
do,
gosh.
for sure. But it's
Four,
definitely fun.
four teenagers basically right now.
Pretty much, and three of them are girls. So yeah,
Oh my
I'll let
God.
I'll let you. Yep, there's a lot of.
Okay, I will never complain.
No,
Yeah.
you still get to complain. It's just different.
I mean, I am in awe. I respect you so much and still doing this and having your art and wanting to put great content out there. Like I admire you very much.
Well,
That
thank
is
you.
incredible. Good
Appreciate
job.
it. Well,
Yeah.
it helps
Wow.
whenever I get to talk to such inspiring people, and then my kids,
Wow.
my daughters can watch it and be like, oh, I can do that. I can be like her,
Oh,
It's like
man.
that to me
Wow.
is so important. So I love it
Wow.
so much. But thank you for saying that. I really appreciate
Sure. Oh my gosh, it's the truth.
it. Well, I mean, we all know that storytelling and motherhood demand
Oh,
presence and empathy, but in very different ways. So,
yeah.
how has being a mom shaped the way you approach your roles? Like, do you ever find pieces of yourself or your daughter showing up in your characters?
Oh gosh, in my characters. Uh yeah, I think in terms of well with Perla, Perla has this sense of presence and humor and playfulness that sometimes I think as AmieLynn that has gone away. I don't we get to be adults and I'm like, where did my playfulness go? But then yeah, right. And then but there's something that like Perla loves her job so much and like loves and hates it. I think like what we do with our jobs, like it is such a grind, but she does love being capable. She loves connecting with her patients. She loves finding the joy with her coworkers. And I think like I see that with my daughter, that she just is, she enters a room and she has such this wide-eyed wonder and presence with who she can connect with. And I really like that. I really like look at her and see this sort of lighter energy. And I really think about that when I go in. There is something about me putting on these scrubs, which are really comfy and like the clothes that my daughter wears. And it just makes me lighter on my feet like her. And I think I'm and then I see her wearing these sort of like fun little outfits, and she's a little like raucous Perla. So I think
Love it. I
it
love
is.
it.
It's so great. It's so great.
That is
Yeah,
wonderful. And you're
yeah.
right about all that. I mean, and that doesn't go away, I will tell you, even when they are older. And the
Oh,
whole
good.
teenage girl thing isn't always true. I mean, my 14-year-old daughter, she's still just such a tender heart and,
Yay.
just
Yay.
wonderful. We've got a few Spitfires in here, but they're just strong. But that whole lightheartedness and their, eyes lighting up and then you watching
Yay.
that doesn't ever fade. So that is definitely something you can continue to look forward
And
to.
you want that Spitfireness. You want that in your daughters. And that's awesome that they are like that, but still with the bright-eyed wonder. I complain about my daughter, being outspoken, because it's hard on the
It
parents. But
is.
we're,
It
but we're
is.
also very much like, yes, speak out, say no,
Yeah,
punch back, not physically, but like
yeah,
use your words, just stuff like that. But then,
absolutely.
we
And
become
it's
the
such a
punching
balance.
bags.
You're right. And it's a balance, but you do want that because it's so important,
Yeah.
especially, in those teen years and in this day and age too,
Oh my gosh.
just to
Yes.
be that way. So you're right. There is definitely a balance that needs to be there for those,
Yes.
especially for young ladies.
For
Um,
sure.
so acting is definitely all consuming. You know
Oh my
that
gosh.
more than anybody. Long hours, emotional depth, constant reinvention. How do you protect the quiet spaces of motherhood and all of that?
Oh gosh. Well, I want to pause right here and let you know that I I kind of have a hard out at 11 o'clock my time.
Okay.
So that's in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
Um, and so I know there's a ton of questions, but maybe you can get the ones that are most special to you.
Yep. I
Okay.
think we're actually making some pretty decent time, I think, for you.
Okay. Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Good, good, good.
But I
Okay.
appreciate you telling me that because
Yes.
I definitely don't want to overlap.
All good. All good. Okay, now repeat the question, please.
Yes, absolutely. So How do you protect the quiet spaces of motherhood in this such an all-consuming world of acting?
Still learning how to do that. Still learning how to do that for
Mm.
sure. And I think you know, it's a it's a big roller coaster that I take my partner and my family on, and it's a lot of learning how to do that while also prioritizing the quiet and family space. And I think my partner plays a huge role in like figuring out how we can do that for ourselves. Because, these acting projects, theater projects, television projects, they just take up a lot of unpredictable space. And it's a lot of negotiating. It's a lot of how much do we want to prioritize, because it has to be prioritized. Um, and how can we balance that with what we need to do for our family? So it really is a lot of, and I'm sure it's a lot of communication with my partner, figuring out that everyone's getting their needs met and like our family is getting our needs met. And I can't say that I have been doing it, you know, perfectly, but we're learning how to do it as perfect as we can. Um, and, even just technically at home, having it quieter and, giving her the attention when it's the time to give her the attention and not being distracted by what I'm distracted by, or screens or anything like that.
Yeah.
So thankfully, right now she's 5, and she's just that wide-eyed wondered thing right now, and she just loves me and my partner so much. She's into that, like anything that we do is just pure joy and love. And I hope that never goes away. What you're saying is it sounds like it never goes away. So
Well,
you're giving me hope.
yeah, good. I hope so, for sure. But
Yeah.
yes, definitely that grace in the chaos. So it's
Oh my
definitely a
gosh.
real thing. And I think every mom watching will totally feel that. So,
So,
um,
I mean, so hard.
it
It's a challenging thing, a little human being. And when you have more than one like you, again, I can't even wrap my head around it. I can't.
Well, honestly, if I feel like you just fall into it, you
Yeah.
fall in
Yeah.
line, and after
Yeah.
two, it's like just a number after that. It's like, it's like the same thing,
Yeah.
but for
Yeah.
sure. But they definitely all bring their own uniqueness, and you have to learn to adapt to that. So, but it sounds like
Oh,
you're doing a wonderful job with that as well. So.
thanks.
So you've done theater, film, and TV, all
Yes.
completely different worlds. How does preparing for each kind of stretch you in new ways, or is it very different for you?
Very different. So different. Everything's very different, but of course you bring the same sort of humanity and the craft, but in different ways, of course. Like and I've considered myself fairly very new to television in this way where I'm there every day. I've done a lot of, 1 or week-long guest spots on various other television shows, but to be with a character over a long stretch of time does actually feel very much like theater, and creating that character that you do when you're in theater. And so it's this nice, at least for my experience in the pit, it's this nice melding of both worlds. Theater is just it's never the same in terms of every night and is different. Rehearsing is different. You have, a month of rehearsal for one, long play. And then here we have, we get the script maybe a week before, and then we do rehearse it on the day like a theater play, and then do it maybe 30 times, with cameras all in different ways. And then we let go of that. I never get to do it again. Whereas theater, we have a run of a play for 5 weeks or something like that. So it all has different but similar joys. and different and similar pros and positive things. But what stays the same is just I love the craft of acting. I love bringing humanity to a character, and I'm so grateful because I love the character of Perla. So I like her so much, and that's what's cool too because there you have to, even if you're playing a villain or something like that, you got to find something that you like about that character. But and with Pearl, I think she's cool. Like I'd want to hang out with her.
I would do.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Yeah,
So, looking beyond the pit, what
sure.
kind of story do you still dream of telling? Maybe something totally different, genre-wise or emotionally?
Yeah, yeah, yes. Um, well, I'm not finished with it yet, but I there is a script running around physically in my computer and in my brain all the time, and it's something that has to do with a Filipino American um, and a Filipino, two women sort of coming together and kind of figuring out like how they are similar and different at the same time and how that could really cause some conflict. And I just think that that's so important for immigrants to sort of process that. And my parents being immigrants and me being a child of an immigrant, and to see like how that like really sits in our body throughout the entirety of our life, and how I feel actually quite distant from the Philippines, which is, my motherland, but I was born here in California, and how I have felt very sort of out of touch with it, but also like yearning and longing to be connected to it, and how that has been sort of challenging my entire life.
Mm.
So something around there is a story that I really want to see on screen or in theater, and or if I could write it myself.
Very good.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a fun one real
Yeah.
quick, then our two signatures. And um, so the first thing I want to know is if you could teleport anywhere in the world for lunch,
Oh,
no cameras, no interviews, where are you going? Who are you bringing? And what dish are you not sharing with anybody else?
oh, okay. So this, I immediately just thought of my favorite burger.
Oh my,
Um,
I love burgers.
in Los Angeles, which is crazy because I'm like, oh, maybe I should go somewhere far.
Nope, your
But
favorite,
I
you gotta
really
go.
have not had this burger in a long time for whatever reason. But it's this place in Los Angeles called Father's Office.
Oh,
And it is, I'm telling you, I mean, burgers, it's a gourmet burger, whatever that means for you. But I really like just regular burgers. But this burger is something so special, so special. Um, and it is on a brioche bun. There's gorgonzola baked into the meat. It's arugula. And the onions are sort of like this French onion soup type of like glaze thing happening. I'm telling you, it's the best. And there have been times where, and they cut it in half when they give it to you in the basket. And there have been times where people are like, should we share it? And I'm like, no, you get your own. Like,
love
like,
it.
I literally like people want to share it, but no, we don't.
Yeah.
I'm not big on sharing.
Mm-mm.
Also, like I don't know if it's a Tories and an Aries thing, but I'm like, no, you can just get your own food.
Right. Yes.
But yeah,
And since we are cool America, this is kind of a rite of passage. Uh,
yeah.
what is one thing you find cool about America?
Oh, what's cool about America? Hmm. Well, let me think. You can edit out my thinking.
That's fine. It's hard. It's hard because we live here. So,
Right.
yeah.
What is honestly? This is genuine thinking, Lindsay.
I believe it. I don't want to keep you.
No,
That's
it's okay. I'm gonna, extend my heart out because I'm genuinely thinking. Um, well, in the past, I feel maybe I haven't been traveling that much as I want to.
right.
Um, but just my trip to Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
um, was again reignited my passion for traveling. And I know it's Pittsburgh, but it's just something about how cool every state has these unique qualities
Yes.
about them in a way that I'm longing and passionate to explore now after going to Pittsburgh. And it really is that 446 bridges
Yeah.
is and
Funny.
I know every state has something so crazy about it, and I want to like that, and that's their thing, and that's so cool to me. And I'm
Yeah.
sure, internationally, all countries and states have something different, but there's something that I am longing as AmieLynn now to travel to every state and to find what that is that just blows my mind. Like I
Yeah.
can't wrap my head around it,
I love it. That
and
is
I
so
want that.
true. You're
I
right.
want it.
It is.
Yeah.
America is like the one place that every place is completely different.
Yeah. I so different.
Yeah.
Yet the same, and yet we can find relation and connection,
Yep.
you know,
Absolutely.
ideally.
We already know you're undeniably cool, but what is one thing you find cool about yourself that maybe nobody else gets to see all the time?
Oh man. Mm, again, you can cut out the thinking. More genuine thinking. Also, do you find that you're like, as you grow and you become a mother and everything, like I get a sense of, oh, maybe I'm not cool anymore, but then there are times when I'm like, where my kid thinks I'm the coolest person
Oh,
ever. Like you get to bring your cool back or something
yeah.
but she's the only person like everyone else is like, I don't know, you haven't done cool things in a while. But
Wait till they're a teenager and then they think you're cool. It's even better.
yeah, that's the dream there. If I
Yeah.
can achieve that.
It only happens once in a while, but it's so cool.
But the moments that I feel that I'm cool are when I impress my 5-year-old. And, I have to bring back like crazy things that I haven't done in a while,
Yeah,
like funny faces or juggling or, like
it's cool.
cooking things that have faces on them or just,
I love that so much.
but yeah, whenever I impress her, I think I'm pretty cool.
I think that that is a cool thing to think it's cool. I like it.
Thanks. Thank
Well, this really has been such an inspiring and fun conversation. I
you.
really
Yay.
hate for it to end, but thank you
Oh,
so much
man.
for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so there you have it, everybody. And what I love about AmieLynn Abellera is that she doesn't just play a nurse, she embodies the care, precision, and compassion of one. Her journey from pre-med to primetime isn't a detour. It's proof that purpose doesn't always need a hospital to heal. Through the pit, she's performing a different kind of surgery, one on stereotypes, one on silence, and giving visibility a pulse. Because healing doesn't always come in the form of medicine. Sometimes it's a moment of connection, a scene that makes you feel seen. I'm Lindsey Vettorel, and this has been Cool America Live, where the stories that move us aren't just entertainment, they're the cure we didn't know we needed.